We started listing them, and little do you know, a few days later, we started getting sales.
Today, I have an eight-figure Amazon seller. How long have you been selling on Amazon?
You can start as small as you want, and you can start as big as you want.
3 tips from when you started. What would they be?
You can start with one book. A book costs $1, $2. Don't go too wide. Specialize in something.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have an eight-figure Amazon seller. He's been in this business for a while, and we welcome Jasim to our show today. Thanks for joining us today, Jasim.
Hey, thanks for the warm introduction. I'm glad to be on here and to mention the software that I've been using for a while now, the pricing software, and talk about a few other things.
Jasim, before we continue, why don't we start talking about you? Where are you from? What do you study? And how long have you been selling on Amazon?
Sure. So actually, originally I was born here in Minnesota, but originally I'm from Jordan, Palestine. I actually lived there for around 8 to 10 years. And then I came back here around in maybe 2016. Around 2017 is when I kind of started with the Amazon business like many other sellers. I started in the textbook category. Just before we get into more details about Amazon, I was in college at the time, so it was helpful. I was studying accounting. I'm actually wrapping up the degree right now. I should be done next semester, hopefully. So that's my major, and I went to also here, local Minnesota. And that's where I used to get textbooks from. We started off with that business. Like a lot of people actually got into this Amazon business. And then over time, we got into a few other things that allowed us to scale and get a few warehouses and have a few branches actually across the United States of many different categories, electronics, apparel, so on and so forth, just to be able to scale and diversify at the stage we're in. I mean, around 5 to 6 years later in this business.
So why did you start your Amazon business?
So actually, it wasn't something that was necessarily thought of and planned. It was more like something that kind of we stumbled upon at when I was studying in college. I was actually at a community college. We stumbled upon they had a case of free books the library was giving. So my friend was telling me, "What do you think if we take one of these and we start selling them on Amazon? I know they go for good money." I didn't take it seriously, but then he started showing me some data and all that kind of stuff, and it was actually quite interesting. So we took the whole thing and we started listing them. And little do you know, a few days later, we started getting sales. So then I went to YouTube. How do I get more books? You start learning about thrift stores. You start learning about Goodwill. You start learning about all that kind of stuff. And then one thing kind of led to another, and here we are today.
I know you also wrote a book about that, right?
Yes, yeah. So actually, I think we were one of the people that tried a lot of different Amazon businesses and a lot of different things. So actually, that book that I wrote was specifically about online arbitrage for books. We still do it to the day, but the idea of that was after a year into this business, we used to buy the textbooks when the semester would end and sell them when the semester would start. So then we kind of noticed a pattern that even on Amazon, when we were selling the book textbooks, that during the semester season, in the middle of the semester, the textbook prices would drop very significantly. And when the semester is about to start, the prices would rise. So we would take advantage of that, buy the textbooks from Amazon itself, and buy the during those months, and then wait for the peak season to kind of sell off our textbooks. And we've been doing that for quite a few years now. We slowed it down a little bit with other things that have had more potential, but back in still a very viable business.
So many people are a bit scared to start their Amazon business. What would you say to somebody in that situation? And what would your suggestion be?
Yeah. So, I mean, the good thing with Amazon, unlike many other businesses, is that there isn't much upfront cost, upfront risk. You can start as small as you want and you can start as big as you want for the most part. Now, if you're starting with private label, you're going to have a minimum order quantity or even wholesale. But with arbitrage, buying from local stores, you can start with one book. A book costs $1, $2, $3, a few bucks. And you can start off very slow. You don't have, and you see a lot of advice from people saying quit your job or take it extreme all at once. I don't agree with that necessarily. Try it out very small, test the waters. Some people it doesn't work out with them. Sometimes Amazon is very risky. I mean, it's not like a stable business. Maybe like other businesses, it's kind of up and down, and there's a little less since newer paradigm. But overall, you start off small. That's my advice, and test the waters. It might not be a suitable business, and it might be really well. I mean, it depends on the person, what their schedule is like, and what their capacity maybe for risk is like.
You were talking a little bit about sourcing, finding the textbooks, find them on Amazon when, they're lower prices and some of them higher. Could you give us some more tips about sourcing?
Yeah, sure. So for textbooks, there's a lot of the business, just like many other businesses, is about relationships. So a lot of people donate their textbooks, and we would like to be the first person. I always say the less people you have in the sequence, the more money you'll be able to make. So if I get them directly from the person donating, that's going to be much more profitable than maybe waiting for them to donate to thrift store marking it up, than me getting it. But sometimes you don't get that. But what you can do is you can start developing relationships with many of these thrift stores. And they'll start telling you when they get textbooks, when they get the new shipments, so they put on the side for you. And that's how a lot of it went for us. I mean, we used to make relationships with different stores. We opened in different states. We had people sourcing in different states that used to ship to us by the pallet. So we had people in Virginia, we had people in a few other places that used to source in their state. Their people, they knew a lot of colleges. They would get them. And also as a college student, I was doing well in my classes overall. I had a pretty good grades, and I was able to, through them, get a lot of textbooks as well. So professors have textbooks, colleges, and even back when we first started, we used to even have to go to places that aren't pleasant, maybe by the recycling stuff and all that kind of stuff. That's where you can find some stuff. It's plentiful, basically.
So Jasim, I know that you guys also have a leads list that it's something that your group members have available. Is that something that you're still doing?
Yes, sure. Thanks for mentioning that. So basically, it's right now we have an Amazon leads list. Maybe you could put the link in the description. But basically, what it is that a system right now we limit to how many people can join it. But we personally buy from Amazon.com itself, actually. Over, just like I was mentioning, textbooks, we also buy lots of other stuff: shoes, clothes, electronics. Amazon has obviously the most diverse collection of inventory across the web, and we spend over 6 figures a month just buying from Amazon and reselling it on the Amazon platform. And Amazon has a lot of different sellers you can buy from, and even Amazon itself posts a lot of great deals. So, but they have a limit. So as a seller, as much as we'd love to buy all their quantity, Amazon limits us sometimes to buying 3 of an item or 4 of an item. So that allows us to be able to post it on our group. That's basically, we have a Telegram group that we have people live. We have actually 3 people working full-time just on this business and the Telegram, and kind of maintaining this, because it's a really amazing business. It's really, let's say, smooth, much smoother than other businesses. You just order from Amazon.com, you resell on Amazon. It's very safe. And we've been running that for over a year, and we've had a lot of retention, and there's even a trial on it for people who are looking forward to try it.
So let me get this straight. You buy from Amazon and then resell it on Amazon or other channels. That's the business model, similar to what you did for textbooks.
Yes, exactly. So we started off with textbook, and one of the team members suggested that we have overseas, we have around 20, 30 people over there on our team. They suggested, why are we just sticking to books? Why on our horizon? I was like, the only reason we're getting them, with my limited thinking, obviously, at the time, is that there was peaks. It was up and down. But the truth is, other categories, Amazon would make sales, sometimes reduce prices. It would be less of inventory. They'd mark it down. Other sellers like 6PM, Zappos, they'd put their products, sometimes it'd be end of a season, just like textbook, for example, sprinkler systems. We bought a sprinkler system in winter, and now it's selling in the summer. It's doing really well. So a lot of stuff like that, we just buy directly from there. Sometimes you have to store it. Sometimes you have to wait, but then we relist it and put it back on Amazon.
So what kind of ROIs are you looking for, or the profit when you're picking these deals?
So one of the things I always say, that the larger you want to get, usually the less ROI you have to be pleased with. When it was starting off with textbook, I mean, textbooks have crazy margins. Sometimes you'd see 400% ROI, 500% ROI. But like I said, it's all about scale. If you want to stay with that, that was amazing. It was very good living. But if you wanted to scale with employees and warehouses, all that, we had to go to lower ROIs. Right now, we're seeing gross ROI of, I'd say, 25% of our scale, at 20% actually, gross ROI. And then net ROI is obviously much lower when you factor everything else. But that's kind of, we go 20, 25%. But the things we post in the group, usually because customers are smaller than us, we post the higher end stuff at like 30, 35% ROI actually. So, but we personally as a business go to 25, 20.
So as you grow bigger, as you scale up, you're willing to take less profit margin, but more scale, like faster turnover as well, and getting cash flow in. So talking about some of the software that we mentioned a little bit, like how has BQool helped your business?
Yeah, so BQool is actually one of the primary softwares. I think it's one of the first softwares we got in our business, honestly. It's when we first started, again, we were small scale. We could price everything ourselves. It wasn't easy. But with time, and especially getting into other categories that were more like textbooks, it's only 1 month period. You can check it every day. But when there's shoes, when stuff with lower ranks, it's much more competitive market, much more competitive field. You can't stay manually on top of it. So you have to put a pricing software to kind of check it. I think BQool does actually it's every 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So it's pretty frequent, the point is. And it checks our prices, makes sure that we're competitive. And honestly, without it, we'd be way behind the competition. And even BQool specifically, I want to give props with the latest update. It's been really good to see that with the conditional pricing. I mean, it's we've had a few things, but the chat support's been great, and to go back and forth. So Also, that's something amazing to see. The latest update with the conditional pricing has honestly been a big bonus. So if people haven't tried it, it's worth looking into with the latest update. I think you guys offer a free trial too, so that's something to look to.
Has your buy box percent improved since you start using BQool?
Yes, it has improved. Buy box percentage improved. Sell through has improved. A lot of things, and the more the thing with BQool, the more you learn about it, the more you can utilize it, and the more. So someone might use BQool wrong, and that's if I'm saying if you start using BQool and your buy box percentage doesn't improve, it's most likely not something with BQool. It's just a lack of information. So try to maybe research it a little bit more. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a repricing software, and it's a good repricing software. We've seen it, and you should be able to see it too.
So how much of your total sales has increased since you started using the BQool repricer?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. So it's really tough to gauge because we've also increased the inventory, but I would say we've seen maybe it's really tough to answer this, but as a percentage, I would say maybe we've seen an increase of 15% in our buy box. So I mean, I think we were at 15 when we first started, we got to 20, and I'm sure now if we stopped using BQool or pricing software, it would be much less because we have much more inventory. Back then we could keep up. Now we can't keep up, or we need like 10 people maybe to keep up manually.
Yeah, so it saves a lot of work, man hours as well, doing that
Yes,
repricing.
100%.
So why did you pick BQool? Like, did you use another repricer software before?
So actually, one thing we like about BQool is it's very straightforward. So we have other pricing softwares. They tell you there's this AI or there's a system. But BQool, whenever you see something priced, there's an explanation for why it priced that way. This is that way, or this rule is this way, so this sold for that way. We tried a lot of different softwares. Some of them were very expensive, and some of them were just not sufficient or couldn't handle the workload. So BQool is a nice mix of affordability and that, but also to mention, I mean, obviously there's still some things with BQool, but thankfully the support has been there, such as maybe active quantity, the API limits, that kind of stuff. But overall, it's been really good.
So you started to use conditional repricing. Like, why are you
Yes.
using that? Like, what is the benefit of using the BQool's conditional repricer?
So the main benefit of the conditional pricing is that there's finally on BQool, you can price items based on inventory age. So that's a big deal because just like 90% of the stores in the world, the older their inventory, the more aggressive they want to price it. I'm not going to price something that's in the first month, like something that's in the 11th month. Maybe that one I'm going to go to 5% ROI the 11th month. The first month I'm going to wait and hold 30% ROI. So, or 35 or whatever. So that's one of the main things is inventory age, and not just necessarily pricing lower, but sometimes it's seasonal stuff to be able to price the seasonal stuff with the SKU. So it's been a big benefit, and there's also a lot of features. It's a very multifaceted program to where it has many features such as the sell-through and that kind of stuff. So hopefully, I mean, there's still a few technical bugs, but the bugs have been addressed with the time, and it's been getting better too.
So let me get this. Like, how do you set up your conditional repricing? Is that something you could share with the audience?
Yeah, so the conditional pricing, we have different rules. We like to price our stuff based on inventory age mainly, and then we also like to price stuff based on the sell through. So let's say we have 10 of an item, for example. I have a rule where if I'm selling, for example, 70% of it within a week, I want to raise the price. I don't want to sell my items that quickly. I want to, for example, but if it's selling, the sell percentage is very low, I want to lower the price. So kind of that I'm able to do that with conditional pricing now to where the sell per through percentage, I'm able to modify my price based on that.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. So also the inventory age. So what do you do with products that don't sell? Like, let's say dead stock, for example.
Yeah. So that's a big and bigger issue lately. We try to market price very aggressively at the very end, but some stuff just doesn't sell. Listings break, stuff gets lost, all that kind of stuff. With those kind of stuff, sometimes we bring them back to our, I mean, always bring them back to our warehouse. Sometimes we dispose them if they're worthless, honestly. But usually we bring them back to our warehouse. We donate some of it, a good chunk of it. We sell some of it locally. We sell some of it on other marketplaces, such as Poshmark, for example, and Facebook. A lot of stuff.
So you try to use some other channels to sell off the
Yes.
products that aren't able to sell with
Yes.
dead stock. So if you could give like yourself and our audience 3 tips from when you started and with what you know
Yeah.
right now, with all the knowledge you've gained and experience, what would they
Yeah.
be?
So the first tip is honestly to look for help and to look for people. If you're not financially well off, you don't have to pay for anything. There's a lot of amazing free information out there. But if you are, you can there's paid courses that are worth it. There's paid stuff that's worth it. And there's programs that help. There's all that kind of stuff. So seek help. Second is patience. Patience is really important. Maybe a lot of us are used to going to a job. I used to go to a job. We'd get paid every 2 weeks. It's guaranteed. End of the day, sometimes we get paid. But with a business, it's a little bit different. You have to be patient. Some stuff won't sell. Some stuff you'll have to wait on. And maybe the third thing I would say is just to kind of specialize, especially initially. Don't go too wide. Specialize in something, do it well, and then go to something else. And because if you try to do a lot of things, you kind of maybe won't do any of them well.
So it's kind of like I know what Jeff Bezos like. He just makes a few high quality decisions every day.
Yeah, I read his book. It's really good advice because a lot of the stuff is irrelevant, and you don't want to go to the irrelevant stuff and focus on the high level important stuff. Like there's a saying, common saying, it's stepping over dollars to chase pennies, kind of. So that's not the mentality you want to have. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing and focusing.
So tell me, like, what worries you or keeps you up at night about your Amazon business?
So obviously, with Amazon business, there's always these scary suspension stories. There's always people that have their prices go wrong, like in bulk, either Seller Central uploaded something wrong, or even the pricing program. And thankfully, that hasn't happened with BQool. But there's a few concerns in this business. Obviously, with more inventory, security of the warehouse, all that kind of stuff, the security of the Amazon warehouse, and getting reimbursement sometimes is a little bit tougher now. So just that kind of stuff is a little bit, let's say, not worrisome, but a little bit disturbing where you have to kind of persist behind it.
So with a business of your scale, you mentioned you have 20, 30 people on your team. Are you working with VAs?
So actually, we have around 40, 50 actually on our team total. 20 to 30 are in Jordan. My dad has an office there. We have a team there, and then we have a US team. So it's 20 there, 20 here, around that, actually a little bit more. Maybe 30 and 30. But yeah, that's how it is. And it's not, I think VAs are unfair for what the team we have there. They're really like just like a team and just like official team members to where they understand. And they're not just people that we give a task to and they just do it and give it back to us. They're really knowledgeable and they're just like the people here in the US and even better.
So what part of the job could be outsourced and what part do you got to do yourself on a daily basis?
So the good thing about me is I have a few siblings and my father. And when that helps, because then you're able to outsource much more. There's much more trust into it. Even stuff like bank information and payments. You can even I go up to outsourcing that part because I'm doing it with my own family to where it's really comfortable. So thankfully, in my situation, maybe unlike others, unfortunately, where they don't maybe not working with people they can fully trust, I'm able to outsource a lot of things. And the stuff I do myself is kind of maybe the adding new businesses, for example, like adding new features like the B2B selling and that kind of stuff is where I'm currently mainly focused on. And let's say the flip group and that kind of stuff.
So you're also teaching other people how to do this business as well. Like you're helping others. I'm wondering, what about the prep and pack and warehouse? Like, are you guys working with different prep centers? You mentioned you guys have your own warehouse. Any tips when you scale up to have your own warehouse, or when should you start working with prep centers?
Yeah, sure. So actually, we have never used a prep center since we started this business. I really want to make sure my products are prepped correctly. And that's one of the things that I'm willing to outsource to people I know, but not to companies. I've heard too many stories. And honestly, there's many really good prep companies. I mean, just myself, we've been able to do it in-house. And that's one thing, to find people that you know and to be able to grow with them is one of the things we try to implement in our business.
Talking about outsourcing and doing things yourself, how many hours do you put into Amazon business every week? And has that changed since you first started in 2017?
Yeah, I would say it did get a little bit less now. I'm able to at least visit my family in Jordan a little more now with the great team that I have and the people that I have. But I mean, it's still, I mean, since I started, I'd say average, I don't know, I want to say maybe less than 65 hours, 65, 70 hours a week.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're still putting a lot of effort, a lot of hours
Yeah, I
into
mean,
work.
but there's not much else for me to do. I have my siblings, but I'm not married. So, I mean, it's fun for us. I mean, to be able to work with people that I like and to be able to work with my brothers, it's maybe now I'd say more like 60 hours to kind of be on the safe side. But yes, it's somewhere up there. Yeah.
So tell me, what are the pros and cons? Because like you're working in between Jordan and also the US. Like, what is the difference running a business in the US and in the Middle East? Like, how is that different?
That's a great question, actually. So one of the main cons I'll mention off the bat before I go into the pros, because one of the main cons is kind of like the little bit of a lag. So in the US, if you have someone within your own office, you can kind of tell them, oh, do one, two, three. They'll kind of get back to you immediately. But sometimes you tell someone something in Jordan, they get back to you the next day. Then you find something, you get back to the next day. But whereas someone that's right in front of you in the office, you kind of have like a discussion, 10, 15 minutes, and kind of resolve it on the spot. So that's one of the main disadvantages. But as our team has grown to learn more, it's kind of decreased. But the advantages is to be able to honestly, one of the main things is to be able to work with people that I really like and people that are within my culture, my religion. I mean, that's a huge advantage to kind of be able to people maybe there that don't have as much opportunities as we do have in the US, and they're really smart. They're amazing people. To be able to work with them has been very fortunate for me before even them.
So talking about the different businesses, like how many businesses do you have?
Well, myself, I do a few things on the side. My father actually has a residential apartments. He has kind of like gas station tobacco shops. He got out of them a little bit, and he's focused with me on this business now. We also do a few other side stuff. Like I said, gas station. We do car rentals a little bit, but like I said, the focus is here on Amazon, and I'm only doing it now that I'm able to kind of delegate that stuff and a little bit diversify outside of Amazon. I mean, it's been 6 years, 7 years. It's been an amazing opportunity, but kind of look towards a little bit outside of this field of trying out. Its car rentals has been nice, doing car flips and stuff like that. It's a exciting business.
So if you could have any superpower, like what would that be?
So that's an interesting question, but maybe being able to teleport or whatever they call it, to be able to see my dad and mom and my younger siblings more often would be really cool. I mean, obviously I'm in an unfortunate situation, but that would be something really nice to be able to visit them instantly, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, that would be something cool.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you taking the time, and it was great talking to you, and really appreciate the answers. Actually, I'm for anyone interested to kind of learn a little bit more about Amazon and that kind of stuff. I actually have a Facebook group, and going to be starting a YouTube channel. Kind of get into this stuff. I did teach a lot of people locally, and they've thankfully been able to start their own business and even work with us and partner. But I'm kind of looking to teach people more outside of just my circle. So look forward to maybe to seeing if I do decide to start a YouTube channel, or at least in our Facebook group, to hopefully benefit there and learn. Maybe we're going to post some BQool strategies and stuff like that.
Hey, Jasim, thanks for your time today. It's amazing. Yeah, and hey, guys, for our audience, we're not talking about a 6-figure, not a 7-figure, but this is an 8-figure seller with real results. So if you want to learn from somebody, you want to learn from the best. Thanks, Jasim, for your time, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, Samuel. It was amazing talking to you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, cheers.